Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And back with some more headlines, getting right into it. First one here is pretty interesting. So ICE plans, and it's actually the DHS and ICE, but they're upgrading, stepping up their measures. As it says here, they plan to equip agents with gloves that can deliver electric shocks. Okay, and you can see a visual right there on screen. And yeah, it's just as it sounds. So let's read a little bit of this here. Yeah, these migrants better start watching out. And then this is ahead of them talking about they're getting ready to start having their largest operations in New York too. So they're going to shock that New York ghetto right out of them. Anyway, it says U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, officers may soon be equipped with gloves that can deliver electric shocks as they carry out their law enforcement duties. Which is interesting, right? Because it's, and as we read the article, we'll let you know, like, they're basically saying that as they do their job, right, they need to increasingly look out for equipment, like ways to equip their agents to best be able to, to do their actual jobs. And as technology gets more and more advanced, they are going to start to adopt those into these kinds of fields. So soon enough, they're going to start incorporating drones. Soon enough, they're going to start incorporating humanoid robots, right? Different kinds of technology and shit that you see in these TV shows and movies that depict a technologically advanced future. And you see how the law enforcement, how they use different kinds of technology that, law enforcement today doesn't really use publicly. It says ICE plans to spend up to $20 million to buy the generated low output voltage emitter glove, according to a note published on Monday by the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS. So they're going to start feeling like superheroes, right? The gloves can deliver up to 380 volts of electricity, roughly 3 times the charge of a standard U.S. power outlet. Civil rights groups, including the American Civil Liberties Union, or the ACLU, have expressed alarm over its use. ICE is under scrutiny for its tactics during enforcement activity, which have resulted in several fatal shootings by officers. So migrants gonna need people gonna need to think twice about trying to get into a physical altercation with them, because here it is, you arguing with one of them, the other one turns on the gloves, and that argument might turn into something else very quickly. The DHS said in a statement to the BBC, ICE is constantly assessing the needs of our officers in the field to ensure they have the tools and equipment necessary to safely arrest and remove criminal illegal aliens from the country. See, that's what I was mentioning earlier. So if they're constantly assessing the needs and now they're determining that they have need of electric or shock gloves, what are they going to have need of in a month from now or 2? Compliant Technologies LLC, which makes the gloves, told the BBC it was unable to comment on the sale. It says a no-bid purchase contract could be published as early as Friday, DHS said. So they're going forward with it, right? They're not playing. Now let's read a little bit about the actual gloves here. It says the glove devices are activated by pushing a button to deliver shocks and can deliver up to 30 pulses per second. So it looks like that button right there you can see in the image here, meaning that the user has to turn it on and then before going ahead, right? Which when you deal with technology like this, let's say this company here, Compliant Technologies LLC, sees that this is getting widely adopted, and then they start getting feedback like, hey, the process of having to physically press the button to turn it on is not as convenient. Is there a way we can have it turn on a different kind of way? I don't know, you clap your hands, or you voice activate it, or make a fist or something. where it's much simpler, or can you reposition where the shocks are? So now instead of maybe in your palms, on your fists, right? I mean, so the point is that this is something that they can constantly improve on, but it's usually like the first steps of adopting technology like this that you really got to look out for, because they're letting you know that they ain't got nothing. They're not putting anything off the table, so to speak. So it says they also feature built-in microprocessors that keep a record of activation. Compliant Technology states on its website that they do not cause injury and are used by many agencies. Oh, yeah. So getting shocked, right, with 3 times the voltage of a standard outlet is not going to cause injury, right? Now, it comes down to how responsible the agents are that use it. It also says here, so interesting, right? It doesn't cause injury, but it recommends avoiding use on elderly, small children, pregnant women, and severely handicapped. Why is that? It says as well as that an additional officer be present to restrain the subject while the gloves are being used. That's mad crazy. So you got one holding you down and the other one just comes rubbing his hands together like it's shocking time. And then now you're getting shocked. So when they say, stop resisting and you keep on moving, that's when they call in the other dude. And he comes in with the gloves on and he finds some skin and it's over. I forgot who it is in here, but he mentions that in here. Because this isn't the first place that these gloves are going to be used. They've already been in use by certain other companies or, agencies, industry sectors. It says, unlike a taser, which uses sharp barbs in the skin to deliver a shock of up to 50,000 volts, the gloves do not complete an electrical circuit inside the body. Instead, it delivers a sharp shock to convince a subject to comply using pain deterrence. So once they start feeling that pain of that shock, they get convinced. I think you were right. I don't know what I was thinking earlier. But I'm ready to comply. I mean, pain is a shit. Is a strong influencer. So, yeah, was this Lieutenant L.T. Butch Gallion, an administrator at Hawkins County Jail in Tennessee. So according to him and his experience, they use this over there. That's why he's saying that, in quote unquote, we may or may not deploy them. It just depends on how they act. When you push the button to turn them on, there is a light that displays. The inmates understand that light, and often just seeing the light brings compliance. Brings compliance. So they already know. They know what's up with that. So the second that light comes on, they like, why go ahead and experience the shock when you know what's coming if the light is on? It says the shocks can only be delivered when they contact skin, allowing an officer to touch a subject's clothing and then move to the skin, typically the wrist or elbow, if they begin to fight. If they become combative, he continues, then you can apply the gloves to an area that the skin is exposed. And it's an instant complier for me. So according to this guy, these gloves are very, very effective. Because once you get that bare shock on your skin, and this is by gloves. Somebody, you're trying to get into a fist fight with an ICE agent, and here it is. He may know some jujitsu or something. He may take you down to the ground, and before you know it, your ankles are getting shocked, or your elbows, or your neck, and that's not a good practice, right? That's not a good practice at all. According to the DHS note, glove would be used by officers and agents in Homeland Security investigations, which targets transnational criminal organizations, and enforcement removal operations, which is responsible for arresting, detaining, and deporting people who violate immigration laws in the U.S. Some law enforcement agencies are already using the gloves, but it's believed that the planned ICE purchase would be the largest from compliant technologies to date. So ICE is getting an upgrade. Better watch out there. The next one that I have here is, and actually before I get this, I want to read this here real quick. This is Ezekiel 9:5. It says, "Unto the others he said in mine hearing, Go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity." And the reason I wanted to bring this out is because just as the Lord gave them that command back then, he's gonna give the command in this time through through the spirit that he's gonna put, his wrath that he's gonna put upon these different agents and mechanisms by which judgment is going to be brought about. So when you start seeing soon enough different clips of these gloves in use, and you seeing somebody screaming and shit because they're getting shocked, and this person, this agent is still holding on to the person as they're shocking the shit out of them, understand that there's going to be a cold spirit put upon them. Because when people get a sense of power, you know, something like electric gloves, they want to use it. They want to test it, you know, and knowing that they have the authority to, they want you to give them a reason. And if you go and give them one, well, so moving on here, this is an article I found interesting, right? Because it's dealing with this Southern Poverty Law Center, right? And I remember years ago, they labeled us as a hate group and you know, extremists and all this, that, and the third. Now, what's interesting is we were labeled as so bad and evil and blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, this is what they got going on, right? It says here, the former Southern Poverty Law Center. And if I'm not mistaken, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like I remember vocab even referencing them at some point. Why? Because they had us on their list as extremists or hate group or whatever. How credible they are, right? So this is what they got going on. This former executive was accused of funneling donor money to KKK and neo-Nazi informants. Southern Poverty Law Center executive Heidi Beirich was arrested in California on Wednesday under a superseding indictment in the Justice Department's ongoing case against the organization, according to a CNN report confirmed by federal officials. And as you read this in here, you'll see it says here, right, this person faces 3 counts: conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to submit false statements to a federally insured bank, and conspiracy to conceal money laundering. When you go down, it mentions that she, what's this here? It says at the center of the allegations is an SPLC program that paid informants embedded in extremist organizations the nonprofit publicly monitored and campaigned against. Prosecutors allege Beirich helped oversee those payments and shared a bank account with one of the informants receiving them. This informant was identified as F-9, who allegedly infiltrated the neo-Nazi National Alliance. She was romantically involved with him. Interesting. And then reporting on June, the indictment said roughly $140,000 in donor funds moved from the Southern Poverty Law Center's operating account into joint accounts held by Beirich and this F-9 agent guy between 2015 and 2021. So all that money going to the good old Southern Poverty Law Center that's monitoring these extremist groups and all these hate groups and these black Israelites and these black this and that and that. Ain't that interesting? Ain't that about a bitch? It says the organization is alleged to have paid the informant more than $1 million since 2007. Lord. Other payments under the same program allegedly went to separate receipts. For example, describing funds reaching an imperial wizard of the United Clans of America. Oh, wow. A different individual from the informant, whom Beirich allegedly had a relationship. So she out here messing with an informant who was infiltrated the KKK. She messing with an imperial wizard of the United Clans of America. That is former executive of the Southern Poverty Law Center, probably former now because she just got brought up on charges. See what else they have here. Yeah, and then apparently they're trying to fight it and so on and so forth. Oh, look at this. It says the SPLC is manufacturing racism to justify its existence, Blanche said when the original cases or charges were announced. So so they going around, oh, these guys are this, they're trying to start this, they're trying to spark that. Meanwhile, you remember, like, for a group like this to exist, nobody's going to send you money if there's no need for you, right? That's why, like, people get fired from jobs and certain departments get undone. People are losing jobs to AI because these corporations are saying, well, we don't need your role anymore because we can have somebody else do it, or it's just not needed at all. So if you have a group or an organization like this, a so-called nonprofit, and their job is, I don't know, it's interesting, it's called Southern Poverty Law Center, but anyway, it's to monitor racism or whatever it is their motto was. Well, it makes sense that they would do shit like this. But it comes right back on you because they try to come against the men of the Lord. Not even try to. They came against the men of the Lord. And the scriptures tell you that the Lord is not mocked. Now look at what's happening to you. You don't, listen, man, listen. You don't go against the creator of existence itself. Do you understand that? Do you understand what that means? Existence itself was created by the Lord. Like, that sentence itself is going to take a long time to even try to fathom and understand. So I'm not even going to try to go that route. But he created that. He created the existence of everything. Like, the concept of even existing, it comes from the Lord. And you gonna come against the men that he set up to do his job? You ain't doing anything to us. And your lack of spirituality blocks you from seeing that. As Paul said, right? The carnal man, you're at enmity with the Lord because you can't understand the things of the Spirit. You don't understand how the world actually works. A lot of people today don't understand how the world actually works. The creator who created the world has it going according to his will. Nobody's going to stop the will of the Lord. And if you try, the Lord is going to get you one way or another. Let's see what else we got on here. Look at that. At a June 9th House Judiciary Committee hearing titled Manufacturing Hate Part 2, witnesses testified that the Southern Poverty Law Center's hate group designations had been used as a screening criteria by payment processors, donor-advised funds, corporate giving platforms, and web hosting companies. Oh, shit. Would you look at that? Maybe I might play this video. Let me see what else is in here. One witness told the committee that his organization lost access to charitable giving platforms, web hosting, and nonprofit software pricing after appearing on the Southern Poverty Law Center's hate map. See, so they were basically ruining people's shit by claiming that, oh, this group is a hate group, or this person is part of this, or this person is part of that. Oh, let's take a look.
Banger, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Raskin, and members of the committee, for the opportunity to testify before you today. Over 50 years ago, the SPLC was founded to fight the scourge of racism, but the SPLC has drifted from that founding purpose. The indictment alleges that the SPLC deceived donors into funding the racist groups it claimed to fight. But beyond these shocking allegations of hypocrisy lies a broader story: how the SPLC tarred mainstream conservative organizations as hate groups, and then relentlessly sought to silence those groups by persuading America's leading financial and technology firms to exclude them from the marketplace. ADF is one of those organizations. We've been on the SPLC's hate map since 2016, which is odd, given that we reject racism. Our Christian faith teaches that all are created equal, and all are made in the image of God. But it makes sense when you understand today's SPLC, in the words of some, as a political hit operation. The SPLC has branded ADF and others like us as hate groups solely because it disagrees with our work, grounded in our religious conviction on behalf of children told by the medical establishment to disfigure and permanently mutilate their bodies, on behalf of the most vulnerable among us, both those unborn and those at the end of life. Our advocacy for these mainstream positions has repeatedly led us to the U.S. Supreme Court, where we have secured 18 victories since 2011, including 2 more cases under submission today. In fact, the SPLC even quietly filed an amicus brief supporting one of ADF's Supreme Court wins on behalf of freedom of association and donor privacy. But the SPLC cannot abide our work on behalf of the vulnerable, parents, children, and the unborn. So it has slandered ADF and other groups like us as hate groups and sought to lock us out of the public square. The SPLC began targeting mainstream Christian and conservative organizations by adding them to their hate map in 2010. 7 years later, the SPLC's fundraising skyrocketed in response to the notorious Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. But this wasn't a stroke of good luck. The superseding indictment alleges that the SPLC funded and supported one of its ringleaders. In the immediate aftermath of Charlottesville, the SPLC received large donations or commitments from leading firms and personalities, including JP Morgan Chase, Facebook, Google, Twitter, and even Tim Cook at Apple. In 2018, it launched a coalition of left-wing organizations called Change the Terms. They understood that you don't have to win a debate with your opponents if they're invisible. So the coalition targeted critical banking, payment processing, donor advisory, technology, and digital communications infrastructure. It embedded the SPLC within that infrastructure of corporate decision-making, allowing it to influence terms of engagement, flag business partners, and bully corporations into compliance. In short, the SPLC mobilized corporate America to crush the voices of mainstream conservative organizations. The Biden years saw the SPLC deepen its presence in America's political and corporate infrastructure. The Biden DOJ and White House met regularly with SPLC officials. Amazon used the SPLC to blackball groups from its Amazon Smile giving program. So did the employee charitable giving platform Benevity, which serves nearly a quarter of the Fortune 1000. ADF saw tangible impacts. We lost access to the Amazon Smile program, nonprofit pricing from large technology providers like Microsoft, Adobe, and Intuit, web hosting on the Pantheon platform, and access to donor-advised funds at Fidelity. A partisan political organization like the SPLC should never have been allowed to function as an unaccountable private gatekeeper to critical financial, technology, and communication services. And corporations should never have accepted the word of an organization that is itself severely compromised. In addition to standing indicted today, the SPLC has paid millions in settlements for defamation. Its co-founder and president left in 2019 amid staff reports of a systemic culture of racism and sexism. It received an F from Charity Navigator for hoarding donor money to the tune of more than $800 million, much of it offshore. Former employees have said that the SPLC is little more than a highly profitable scam. The time has come to uproot the SPLC from America's financial and technology infrastructure, and Congress can help. Investigations of the SPLC can reach beyond the indictment to examine the SPLC's relationships with financial institutions, technology companies, and digital communications platforms. Moreover, Congress can pass legislation barring federally insured financial institutions from delegating decision-making to private entities that discriminate based on First Amendment protected activity. These would be critical steps toward dismantling the SPLC's shadow censorship regime. We thank the committee for its interest in doing so.
So there's that. And do with that what you will. But long story short, this is what you got going on. And like I mentioned before, the will of the Lord is going to be done regardless. And when the Lord decides it's time to bring the famine of the word, or it's time to, remove his word, he'll do that, and it can't be stopped at that point. But just know that if you are a part of the means in which that is done, you still going to get consequences for it. So with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Until next time.